and welcome to Super Geeks Mycelial Network News, which is our Star Trek Discovery reaction and review show. With me today, as usual, is Carlos Pedraza. How you doing, Carlos?
Ready for action.
All right. Also with us today is the king of all bad jokes. That would be Joe, which is funny because Joe is short like for Joker, but he's bad at it. But I mean, we love him anyways. And how you doing, Joe?
8.5. Thanks for asking.
Wow.
Warp 8.5.
Yeah, we're gonna be going with warps for this one. I like Sun's idea on that one, but it doesn't
Joe
matter.
Diaz, FTW.
I mean, yeah, pretty much. And also shuttling in at warp speed today, or in a Section 31 ship, is Casey. How you doing, Casey?
White boy number 2 is here.
Oh man, that would be number 3 actually, but okay. That would be number 3 because there's 3 of us. Anyways.
Incorrect numbering alert.
Oh shit.
Improper sequence used. Please don't again.
Yeah. Okay, and also with us today, with or without pants. I mean, Sean, are your pants their own entity now? Are they a separate AI or something? I mean,
yes, they are sentient life form,
and they actually have their own social security number. So yeah,
I'm picturing,
but only because he hasn't washed them in so long.
Well, I'm picturing.
That's right.
I'm picturing plaid Dockers, and Docker shorts actually. And
where does one find those?
With a brown belt, and
you have to go to Canada.
God, I guess.
Yeah, I mean.
So yeah, I'm here, and I've got some good news. I got some very good news. First and foremost, I'd like to point out that that problem I've had where if I move my phone slightly to the left or right, it rotates the whole screen, and I take my thumb off the
you
talk
found
button.
the lock button that keeps the screen in one direction.
Can you believe it? It occurred to me there might be a lock
button. Hooray!
Okay, so we need a special.
Sean is learning technology.
It's amazing.
We need a special, not alert, but special congratulations tone thing for his pants.
Sean is special. Congratulations.
Sean is special.
That's beautiful.
Oh my God.
That's my favorite alert from Casey so far.
And the other bit of news is I finally I got my new van back. Okay. And this is the best part. This is a great story. Real quick here. Here's what happened. Okay, so when I bought the van, I noticed the second row didn't have the middle seat. And I said, what are you guys going to do about that? They're like, well, we don't have one to give you. So we'll give you a 3-month extended warranty. And I said, okay, like with a big shit-eating grin. I then took the van to my mechanic who found out a shitload of work it needed. So I got it back today. And yeah, I got $4,200 of repair work done for fucking free. Because they didn't want to spend $200 on getting me in a replacement seat. Thank you very much.
Companies will screw themselves every fucking time.
Well, here's the thing about that, though. Actually, I did come to find out that their warranty company they deal with, it's like an insurance thing. So they got paid for the work anyway by the warranty company. So it was win-win for everybody. So
I have some good news also. We have not one but 2 different people working on bumpers for this show. And they're going to be awesome. The first one, and that's the only one I'm going to tease, is going to be based on what Sean just talked about earlier than the van thing. It's going to be a no pants zone bumper.
Don't remember that.
Well, it won't be this show anyways. They'll forget if they even listen. Because,
How about if we just cut it out?
Because I'm not going to forget this time, is our nanite in full human form, Sun. How are you?
I am well.
That was good. It wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad performance. If you were
we like to call her Control.
She sounded exactly.
She
sounded exactly like the original series computer. It was great.
She sounded like the M5.
Working.
Oh yeah, not bad. Okay.
Oh my God, you do sound like her.
Get the reverb going, and we got it. Get the echo. It's going to be fucking amazing.
Son, we might have to make a separate bumper for this, where you just say "working," and yeah, I can see this being a thing. We can do something with this.
Well, I have friends at Trek Radio who have the little TOS doohickey sounds, so I could get that together.
You know what? I'm sensing something here. We got something we can do. I got 2 bumpers on the way, and yeah, we're gonna have some entertaining things coming, people. So, anyways, tonight we're talking.
But
What's that?
before we get started, I need to call out Carlos because of the conversation we had last week about Control not revealing its intentions. It hasn't. It still hasn't.
Well, that is technically getting into the episode by saying that.
True. But the whole conversation of last week was it revealed its intentions, and that's not true.
Okay.
What it did was declare its intentions with Leland.
I need to know something before we start the show. Did you take notes?
Yes.
Ah, shit. Okay. Because I didn't, so. Alright, so you're going to be talking a lot tonight, so no, I'm just kidding.
Of course.
Which is fine, I'm joking.
I'm the only girl on the show. Of course I'm going to talk a lot. Fuck.
I know, we need more girls. I mean, we're like a heavy boys club here. What the hell? Sean, you need to book more female guests.
Working.
That was well played,
Bring
sir.
Michelle back.
That was, yeah, we
We
could.
love Michelle.
We do, but she came on the show when we made special compensations for people to do it earlier than like 1 a.m. Eastern time. 'Cause she's on my time.
Accommodations. You almost said
That's-
reparations.
Yeah,
That's
you
what
almost
it's
had it.
fucking
I
No,
did.
this-
I
what
caught
he was looking
myself.
for was
Freudian slip.
dispensation. He was
I-
looking for dispensation.
Yeah, that's the word.
He was trying
okay.
to say dispensation, yeah.
I was like reaching for it, and I'm like, I'm just gonna say whatever. Anyways, this episode is about the Star Trek Discovery Season 2, Episode 12 episode in the Shadow, in the Valley. Is it the Shadow of the Valley?
Through the
The
Valley
Valley
of
of
Shadows.
Through the Valley of Shadows, which is a play on the words "We shall fear no evil." After that, it's a biblical passage. So yeah, so they've been doing that.
Thanks, George.
Thanks for
It's for the audience.
Thank you,
right?
Moses.
thanks
Not
for
everybody
extra
knows this
murdering it.
Not everybody knows this shit. You gotta give them. You know, you
You
have to be a little.
recap a story
it's
about
Psalm
the history of
23.
religion.
You have to be a little patronizing sometimes in order to get people to go, "Oh yeah, I get it." Anyways,
It's Psalm 23.
well, you're more hardcore than I am.
Yea, though
Look
I
at
walk
the
through the
Bible,
valley of the
nerd.
shadow of death, we will fear no evil.
Well, Christ,
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
literally.
He maketh me to lie
Where?
by the
Ah.
still waters.
So, anyways,
Hubba
This-
hubba is what I'm saying.
so I want to start this off by saying I want to bet, and I'm not going to rub your face into it.
Oh, Carlos,
I'm
no.
not.
You
I'm not
made
gonna
that
rub it-
so dirty.
Yeah, and
Thy
well, let-
rod and thy staff, they comfort
oh
me.
Christ!
Oh,
That's
God.
the one!
Wait until we get to Shazam's review tomorrow, because that's even worse. But anyways,
Oh my God.
I mean, so I did win a bet, but
Rod.
we'll talk about that when it gets to Gene Rod and anyways. So this is the episode that I call Time Lord Klingons. Cool. So yeah, I love this episode. I
Good
wanna say-
uptick.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to actually start with you, Casey. I want to get your opinion first before anybody else, just because you haven't had a chance to really start off. So go ahead. What do you think of this episode? And tell us anything. We're not going to go in order, just whatever.
Anything? Oh, this episode was awesome. This, if this doesn't give us the push with people to get a Pike series, I don't know what would.
Do you think
This
go ahead.
whole episode was amazing. It was just amazing. I love the story. It was a shorter episode, so the pace was pretty quick. And as they've said, these are chapters in the book for the series of this season, and man, I dug it.
Do you think that this was, for me personally, I thought it was so far, based on the promos, I'm going to say next to two-parter, is the season, season finale two-parter starting next week is going to be, in my opinion, just from the promos, the best, but we don't know that for sure. Do you think out of all the episodes so far this season, which is, this is number 12, do you think this is the best, or would you say it's a little below the best of all of them, or what do you think?
I'd have to think about that a little bit more, but I think
You have
it's
2
been really okay. There is the best maybe so far.
There you go.
Why not? Yeah, I mean, it was really good, and it's been a consistent run of really good episodes. So I can't wait to see the finale and hopefully be blown away.
Awesome. And
Christ, what are we gonna do when Larry Nemechek comes on? We can't tell the difference between Larry and Casey when they talk.
that is a damn good.
Yeah, but I talk
Larry,
a lot
alert.
less than Larry.
When Larry,
is still talking. Alert.
Larry was on one of our episodes, and we didn't give him a lot of opportunities to talk, to be honest with you. And it wasn't me that time. No, I'm joking.
Way to go, Carlos.
I was going to say Sean. Shit.
Yeah,
I didn't know Sean was there that. Were you there?
I
was there.
honestly don't remember.
Yeah, I don't even think Sean was there for that episode.
I was there for that episode. I've been there
Were
for
you?
all the.
Oh, I
all
thought
the
it was your
Discovery
pants
episodes.
were there. I wasn't sure about you though.
Oh, my pants have never been here.
I thought you named your pants Larry in honor of Larry. I mean, I was going to say, Larry, guess what? Sean named
That's
his
a good
pants.
name for pants.
That is true. Or an alligator. But anyways,
I know a man with a wooden leg named Smith, so there's that.
Oh, shit.
yeah, that's true.
Off track alert.
Yeah,
Off track alert.
I want to go to Carlos
going
next.
off the
Thank you,
rails
Casey.
already.
Carlos, what did you
Thanks,
think of this
Casey.
episode? Go for it.
Well, I thought it was a lot of fun, actually. It does seem to have.
What was that?
Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, we just
Yeah.
heard a lady say something, and then all of a sudden
I think
we went
Carlos
quiet.
held back because maybe
It
some
was
people were in
my
the-
Alexa, which
Oh, was it?
doing something weird.
Unplug
Yeah,
her!
I don't
Unplug her!
know why that suddenly activated.
Oh my God! Control got into Carlos's shit. We're fucked now.
I hate
Is it
that.
really
Alexa,
Is
turn
this
off
really
Carlos'
Carlos
speaker.
we're
Okay,
talking to right
um,
now? Just kidding.
I
Go ahead,
hate,
Carlos.
working.
I hate when she does that. These random alerts let you know she's having trouble connecting to the internet. I wasn't asking you for anything anyway.
That's exactly what she said.
Yep.
Alexa, disable.
Okay, well, I'm ready to start again. Just cue me again.
You go ahead whenever you're ready.
Oh, great. So I thought this episode was a lot of fun. And before you start gloating, I'm going to go ahead and fall on the sword here and say that, yes, George, you were right. And they did show the glimpse of Pike's future, which I thought would have been fan service. They managed to make it
Could you just
integral.
repeat that last part back?
I've said
George,
it.
you were
I've
right.
said it, and I already paid you
'Cause
the
I can do a
$3 I owe
loop. I
you.
can do a
So let's
loop.
leave it at that, George.
So you actually did pay him the $3.
He did actually.
Did
pay me the
immediately.
In
Immediately.
fact, I'm
so,
drinking the beer I bought with that $3 right now. I saved it for the show.
So you Facebooked him money.
Yep,
Yes, I did.
he did. He's a man of his
First
word.
time I've actually done that.
You know what? You're a man of your word. I respect that. I would have paid you too if I had lost, but we would have had to wait till the end of the season because we didn't know if they were going to do it now or what episode.
I would
Now-
like to talk
now
about
that-
this bet if we could, just for a slight moment, only to mention that the funniest part of this bet is that after the bet was decided, that George is now using this as the reason why we will see Luke Skywalker in the
Yeah,
Mandalorian
I
series.
Oh my God!
If I can be
no.
right about this, I can be right about anything. So
He's like,
Actually-
I'm batting 1,000 so
actually-
far.
George, you're like a broken clock. You're right 2 times a day.
we shall see.
I kind of like the blind squirrel with the nut analogy. better.
No, I'm not going to rub it in your face too much. Look.
Or that
my-
nut.
Rubbing nuts in faces, George.
hey, no, don't
Whoa.
don't judge me. You know, after
Casey,
that
can we
last
go
episode.
for that off the rails alert?
Oh man, there you go.
Off the rails alert. Off the rails alert.
Actually, I would just call it George Alert.
Yeah, that sums it
Do
up
it.
better.
Do
I
it.
agree.
George.
Jorge alert. Jorge alert.
Eh.
It's even better.
Oh, it's culturally
Eh.
sensitive. The opposite of George.
All right.
So, moving.
Does that make
on,
me an official
I-
Hispanic? I'm just asking. For a friend.
not even
No.
honorary, George.
Damn. I thought Raul would appreciate that.
Not,
if he was here.
not even in absentia.
Damn it.
Oh.
Well, the only reason I thought that here, I'm just going to tell you something real quick before we move on. I wasn't just fanboying and saying I thought for sure they would show Wheelie Pike. The reason why I thought it would happen. Yeah, that's what we call it now.
I love that you call him Wheelie Pike.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, well, I have a
That's
friend in a
pretty
wheelchair offline, and I call him Wheelie, so that's why it's in my head. But the reason why
We just lost 5 listeners.
well, I mean, hey, he called himself Wheelie. He told me to call him Wheelie, so whatever.
It's okay.
It's like saying, I'm your black friend. Never mind, I'm not gonna go there. But the point is,
How about we don't go there, George?
Wow, yeah, let's not go there.
let's not even go there.
Sorry.
So not him. I said, I was saying the reason why I thought that we would see Wheelie Pike is because it serviced the plot. I know that you guys thought like if they show it, like I understand your argument, but the thing is that ever since the moment of the fortune cookie and then Vina, I felt like, and then the fact that we found out there was a time travel theme going on, I felt that what they were doing was they were it wasn't just shoehorning in something. I thought what I was sensing, and again, you're kind of guessing, but it's my gut instinct, was that they were making a subplot where Pike was getting a foreshadow of his future. And now, what I did not expect, which is what I love about this episode, is that it not only was put in there, but the fact that they made it such a deeper plot where it not only serviced the plot by not just throwing it in there, but Pike had a choice with the time crystal. He could take the time crystal and accept his fate is locked in, meaning he knows what's going to happen to himself. And the whole plot about how he has to accept that your fate is sealed if you do this, and him going, well, I wouldn't be the man that I hoped to be if I don't do the service to others versus the service to self and be selfless about this. He had his acting on this in that scene with the Time Lord Klingon guy, and it was awesome. And I thought they not only like I said, sometimes you can find a way to not only do fan service, but you can make it a part of the plot if the writers are clever enough, and they were very good, in my opinion, even more than I expected. Because I mean, I was going to say like, okay, they'll have like a what I would call an Easter egg where they would like see the time crystal vision of Pike in a wheelchair, but they found a way to make it so important to the whole arc that he chooses, and it just makes him more awesome as a captain, that he accepts his fate, that he knows that if he takes that crystal to try to save everybody, that he is accepting a fate that he could have possibly avoided, but he said, nope, that's not the man I want to be remembered for. That's not me. So
well, here's the thing, though.
That was amazing.
Yeah, I would like to point this out, though. The other option was the destruction of all sentient life in the galaxy. So, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer when you look at it from that perspective, right? I mean,
yeah, I actually thought the same thing as it was happening. Like when he's going through and telling himself, I'm a member of Starfleet and I believe in service and sacrifice and love. And I'm like, but yeah, dude, if you don't take it, the entire universe dies. So
yeah, it's all moot if you don't take it. So
it was just, I thought that was great how they worked a reason to show it. And not only that, Carlos, but we didn't just see the wheelchair moment. We actually saw something that we've never seen. We've seen the accident itself, training with the cadets that made him get in the wheelchair. We never saw that.
I thought it did more. It's less about the choice and more about how they made the ultimate fate that we know about far more poignant. It actually, it's not just a throwaway line in a single episode anymore. This is a real event now,
right? Exactly.
And so I have to say that the melting face of Christopher Pike reminded me of Pizza the Hut, and I just got really hungry.
Oh man!
Oh god, that sounds like pizza, black olive.
All cheese.
My last job was Pizza Hut, so I'm like, wow.
You're delicious, boss.
Wow.
That shit up.
That's your takeaway from this, Sean?
Yeah, I had a Spaceballs moment.
Pizza
there.
the Hut?
I got really hungry.
Holy shit. Carlos, are you,
You're so deep.
I know.
I want Carlos to continue because we stopped at that point. Go ahead, Carlos.
Sure. So, I love the Michael's subplot. I thought that was nice. It's interesting to me that it feels like
It feels like you're
Burnham
on repeat.
and Pike have almost become what?
It feels like you're on repeat. I'm hearing echo.
We got a bit of an echo there.
I heard it
Yeah,
for
I
a
heard
second when
echo too.
Joe's mic popped up. We're good.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll start again. I also really liked the Michael Burnham and Spock subplot. It was interesting to me, though, that I don't know. It seems so obvious that Control would be in control of that ship. So I mean, that part I think stretched credulity a little bit. It's like they should have known that it was going to be a trap, and and the whole notion of like when she says, we can fake this diagnostic subroutine thing so it doesn't know that we're doing this. I'm like, this is Control. It's an artificial intelligence that can think, hundreds of times faster than a human being. I think it would figure it out.
Yeah.
But as a dramatic piece, I thought it was nice, and I thought that it was cool that they brought back the guy who was the what was he, the tactical officer on the Shenzhou?
Yep.
Did they? Was that him?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Just to kill him again.
I forgot about that. Okay.
Yeah, the guy that wanted to turn into a bunch of
okay.
nanites.
Yeah, I totally didn't catch that. I've seen it two times and I didn't catch that. That's cool.
Yeah, she literally asks him about what he did after he left the Shenzhou.
Yeah, I didn't catch that he was actually Oh, okay, I didn't catch that. Yeah, I like that too. My only problem with that whole outcome, the thing with him, is why is it that every time they fight a character that is possessed by Control, their phasers aren't set on disintegrate? It's annoying. You could
those phasers have two. Those phasers seem to have two settings: stun and kill, blue and red.
But we've seen them devaporize Klingons. We have. Boom, boom, boom.
Here's the thing. I don't think it affects the control
That doesn't
people
make any sense.
the same way. Well, look. Here's the thing. When he shot through, what's his name? I think Vance or something like that. Anyway, the dude he just blew up into had big holes full of nanites. I mean, so I don't think it's the same thing. We're not talking about. There's a change in the biology.
You might have a point actually, because when the nanites came pouring out of him, right. It was like, all right, that might be what was holding the integrity together.
The nanites are constructed out of tetrabernium alloy.
Completely
They're
made
phaser resistant.
Yeah, I can see actually. All right,
but here's the thing. This is such a stupid thing for me to do, but I do it every episode. I always look at the top of the phaser to see what color it is, red or blue, to see what they're going for, and they've been red every single time. So, just to assuage your concerns about, yeah, I know it's weird. But I do that.
You're weird.
Yep.
Yeah, phasers in Star Trek have always been.
They have a convenient setting.
Either super powerful or super underpowered. This just happened to be an episode in which they were super underpowered.
Yeah. Phasers kind of have the same kind of thing going on with them that transporters do, if you know what I mean. And
they only break down when plot.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly.
Right. Let me ask Joe. I'm going to go to Sun soon because I know she has notes though. But before I do, I want to get Joe's thoughts on the episode. Joe, what is going on in your mind?
I can't believe they connected one of the strongest episodes of Discovery to one of the weakest endings of any Star Trek series of all time, Voyager's Endgame.
Oh, with the Klingons and the time travel thing?
Yeah. But it made me happy because I'm like, all right, everyone that's running the show, uber geeks to...
Oh, at least right? Kirsten Byers happy, right?
Who?
She's one of the writers who wrote
okay.
Voyager novels.
See, yeah, she's one of the writers for Discovery. But
she's the friend of
Voyager
Dave Glanter. That I'm not too familiar with her to go by memory and go when you guys say that name. Yeah, that's a good point. That's interesting. Like to me, like this episode introduced. Bill Smith, a friend of ours, made some kind of a joke on our Super Geeks group, and I know it was a joke, but at the same time, it makes me wonder how they're retconning some things. The name, I know it's spelled differently, but Kronos is the god of time, and they're sort of making it like the Klingons have always had a history of time gatekeeping, and making war
this
is
clearly a God of War reference. I don't know what you're talking about.
Kronos in Greek mythology is that's time. It's about time. That's why you use the word chronological. It's Kronos.
I'm glad you're explaining me this again.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you got it because I don't know.
Just like you explained to me the Bible earlier too. This is so enlightening. I'm getting all of the ancient religions in one show.
This is an enlightening show. But no, Kronos is the god of time. He was the father of Zeus. No, not the father of Zeus. He was one of the Titans in the original story.
Hence my God of War joke that apparently fell flat on everyone.
Well, I've never played God of War. It's just the reason he's in God of War is because he's one of the gods, and they use the gods. So, or Titans. I mean, I'm just letting you know. But I never played the game. But I'm just telling you that when they made the name Kronos for, you can spell it whatever you want, but it's the idea is that what Bill Smith made a joke about is it's not that like and another friend of mine said in a chat that it's not that the writers seem to be being sort of carefully considering Star Trek lore, and maybe they're using that as a reason to say maybe that's why, maybe it gets people thinking, well, maybe that's why. Maybe
but they went to Borith.
Because of, like Joe said, the Voyager ending. I mean, why would the Klingons have time travel tech that she needed to go to them? But this is all tying in. It's like they were actually paying attention and going, so what can we draw from to sort of draw together? And didn't Alec Kurtzman say, I believe in an interview, he said, we're going to be tying in the lore, and we're going to try to make everybody go, oh, we're now starting to rethink some of the things we thought we knew. I think they're doing this on purpose. I really do. I don't think it's a coincidence.
What the Kelvin timeline did for Enterprise, Discovery is going to do for all the loose ends of Voyager, TNG, and DS9.
Possibly even Enterprise. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying like it's not a fanboy thing, because I can see this coming. I just think that it's possible that the writers in the writer room, where they were like, that would be cool if we did that, and somebody went, what if we said Kronos, because it's like time in whatever. But it could make sense because they
did that a couple of episodes ago with the whole Find a Project A list.
That is true, and I'm just thinking like they're making it make sense at least in a retcon way for the Klingons to have a reason. And you know what else it does? This is just my opinion. I've always had a problem with how these barbaric idiots became as equally, if not better, advanced.
Racist! Space racist!
I am when it comes to the Klingons. How these dumbasses could be, because going by what we've seen, that's what I'm saying, could be up in par with the Federation. Because they're all like, blood, kill, let's just chop everybody's heads off. And yet we're supposed to expect that they're up there with every other race in the quadrant.
But I mean, it's like you didn't even see some of the episodes of Enterprise where Archer was locked up in the Klingon on the Klingon homeworld as a prisoner.
But my point is that this episode
Did you watch
actually
Deep Space Nine, by the way?
I did, and they were not smart. I'm sorry, they weren't. The only smart Klingon was in an episode of TNG with the guy that was going
during that Archer scene. His lawyer comes in. He goes, "We weren't always."
Track alert.
Casey.
Good luck.
Thank God.
Yeah. So I thought so Pike's entire sacrifice, knowing what's going to happen to him, is huge in this episode. And I mean, there's so much that happened. We even got a moment where we saw Spock talk to Amanda, his mom, in a hologram thing. That was kind of okay.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. That was, I loved how that whole thing closed out with those two standing there, and her saying it was so simple yet so touching. How she said, "I love you both," and those two saying like brother and sister.
And she vanishes off before he could say
Oh,
anything. You know.
it was so sweet. I loved it. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, her full line was "Take care of each other. I love you both."
Right,
Yes.
exactly. It was wonderful.
Yep. Yeah, this episode hit. You know, I'm going to go so far as to say I'm not done with the episode here, but I'm going to just go ahead and say that Son likes to call it warp ratings. For me, warp 9. I was going to say 8.8 earlier, but there's certain things that just keep hitting me like as we talk about this, and I want to say 8.8. But 9, I'm leaning towards 9. So I'm going to be generous and say I'm going to say 9. It's great. Very rare, but I'm going to go ahead. This episode just fired on all cylinders. I think it could have been better. There's some little things that could have been better. Like, I don't think that they couldn't vaporize anybody that's being possessed by control with a phaser. As far as physics go, there's no reason why there could, unless you say they had a force shield.
No, I disagree with that because we've seen the physical effect on already 2 people that have been affected by control, in that they've got superhuman strength. So there's a change in physics.
But there's like a difference in physics.
There's
though.
clearly a change of physiology going. I mean, it's not a coincidence that
I'll give it a pass as far as what you're saying.
Control is able to survive in space. Even in that EV, it doesn't matter. I mean,
it does. It's also quite important that a human being was able to twist the arm of a Vulcan.
Yeah,
and I liked the detail that they kept Spock's arm broken throughout the rest of the show after that happened. Because usually when they do that crap, they ignore that, but they didn't. Spock's holding his arm like, no, it got broke. I got to fix this shit when we get back to Discovery. Which is easily fixable in the technology they have, but yeah.
'Tis but a flesh wound.
Exactly. Yeah, so let's go through the ratings. I mean, does anybody have anything else that we haven't pointed out about this episode? Oh!
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, so maybe I missed something, and I did try to do some research on this today, and I couldn't find a satisfactory answer. But, okay, so they said that this was the 4th of 7 signals. Okay, we've already seen all 7 signals. Yeah.
This is my first note.
And
this is my first note. This season can't even keep its own consistency.
Oh, that's true. The first episode.
Exactly. And I totally agree with you on this one.
Yeah, they did.
And then all of a sudden, they've just advanced that to there are going to be 7 more. And this one is the 4th. First of all, there's no evidence that there's going to be 7 more. They're just guessing. But they're talking about it as if it's, known fact. And I can't find any reference that says there's going to be another 7. Does anybody else remember anything like that?
Here's the thing. All of this shit, the writing for the season completely fell apart whenever the whole change in the writer's room happened. I noticed that right off the bat.
I wouldn't say fell apart, but
it
might have caused
all of a sudden, these big key plot points that they started bringing up suddenly became the opposite of themselves, and it's like, what?
Didn't at the beginning of the season they all appeared?
Yes, exactly.
They did in the very first episode.
Right.
Yeah.
Here. This is
Pike's entire pitch was there are 7 signals, 7 red bursts, and he went through the whole spiel.
And then disappeared, right?
This is my first thing of notes. The season can't keep its own consistency. 7 signals appeared across the galaxy, the closest being Terralisium, which we jumped to. Now we have new signals being posited as those same 7 signals.
I'm really wondering though if we're going to revisit Terralisium. We only have 2 more episodes, and it's a 2-part.
Oh, we will.
Well, I've
heard that they're going to.
All right. So,
because remember, that's her home base. That's Gabrielle Burnham's home base.
Yep, that's true.
That's where it starts.
All right. Anybody have any final? Go ahead, John.
I just want to ask: are we sure it's when they say 4th? They're not really talking. They're just talking about how they've numbered them, perhaps.
As far as what they've experienced.
This is the 4th one that we've seen since the original 7.
Oh,
well, wait a minute.
But nowhere. But no, I mean, I looked this up on. You can even see it. I think it's on Memory Alpha. They number them all. So they
Right,
have
but-
the initial 7, and then there are 4 more. This is the 4th one.
Wait.
But they keep
Are you
referring to
sure-
it as, yes, I'm absolutely positive.
No, what I mean is, they saw there were 7, but what I'm saying is, are we not sure that the numbering for the 4 is that's in the order as far as how many they've checked out? You know what I mean? They knew there were 7.
No, George. These are all
7
things
signals were
that have
across the galaxy.
appeared.
Okay. I was just making sure.
I've
This
made
is-
a mistake in my notes. The one that was closest was the one that we rescued Tig from.
Okay,
The
so we
second
got
one was the one where we jumped to
Terra
Terralysium, but that was
Okay.
a new one that showed up.
Right, so Terralysium.
Right.
And then we
I'm glad
have
someone's paying attention.
Kaminar, which is Saru's homeworld, and the Battle if he was here. And then number 3 was the last one we just did. Whatever planet that was. Have we visited? How many? So 4. They've actually jumped to or flown to 4 of the 7, but they knew there were
Except
7.
we don't know that is 7. The 7 that appeared have already appeared. These are
Right.
all since then,
I'm starting
and they
to think
assume
this-
that there are going to be
this-
7 more, but we don't know that.
This entire season can't keep its own consistency, and it
Are you
all
guys-
fell apart the moment the
I
writing
think,
room
all right,
changed.
I'm not saying that you're wrong, but in my
It fell
head,
apart. They fixed it.
yeah, in my head, I'm picturing. He said in the first episode, there are 7 red bursts. I remember the trailer too. 7 red signals were 7 red bursts, and I keep thinking that they couldn't go check them all out at once, so they went one at a time. And then they also
No, they didn't.
No, you're right. They
That's
didn't.
not what's going on.
No, you're right.
These
because
are new. They already
they're
happened.
new. They are new.
The only one that they could get to after it, before it finished, was the one where they found Tig. That was the
Oh.
last of the original 7.
Speaking of her-
is there a possibility that there has, due to them encountering Dr. Burnham, that there has now been a change in the timeline?
Yeah, probably.
No, that's why there's this inconsistency with these numbers. Is that a possibility?
Yes, it is. I think it is.
Except
am I just
how
giving
do
them
they
way too
know
much credit?
that? How does Pike says this is the 4th of 7. How do they know there's 7?
The
Yeah,
data for
yeah.
the fair, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, it's like they keep writing it as if 7 new symbols or 7 new signals are going to show up, and it's like, where the hell is this information coming from?
Let's take a second to talk about Tig coming back, and also the fact that we now know she is part of this crew. She is the chief engineer. I don't know what's going on with Stamets, but she's the chief
No,
engineer.
we don't know
said
that she's the chief engineer.
Yeah, that's true. But
they said
Her
that she was
stand-up
part
is
of
amazing.
she said that she was part of the crew a couple of episodes
that's true.
ago.
I love the way she not only I'm sorry, when I said Tig, I mean Jet Reno. I love the way not only did she show up again when I had no clue she was going to show up again, but she also declared herself as having once had a wife, which I like that the writers are doing this because they took her real life sexuality and they said, make the characters the same way. She had a wife and the wife died in the Klingon War. I thought that was awesome. And then use that as a way to be a sort of Guinan to help Colbert. And I love that she went in there for a hangnail. That was an awesome scene. I mean, we need to talk about that. That was pretty cool.
Good call out too.
That was a call out to McCoy.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
What episode was it where he said something about having to treat a hangnail?
Season 2,
Yeah, I
episode
found it.
21.
I knew exactly what that's funny you wrote that, because I knew exactly what her ailment was the moment that that she sat down. I said, "Oh, it's a hang now. It's got to be because of the McCoy thing."
Well,
So,
she walked in holding up her finger.
See, honestly,
Right,
she was
I
holding
know,
up her
I-
finger.
I
I thought
need
she was
medical
just drawing
attention.
attention to herself. So I know
Yeah.
people who literally hold up their whole hand like they're going to be called on to speak, and they do that in like actual society. I thought she was just holding up a finger to draw attention to herself. Say, yes, you may speak.
She is literally the Whoopi Goldberg of this new series at this point. I mean, she's the guest star that is not necessarily a...
That's a lie. That's a lie, because everybody here except me is fawning over Anson Mount. So
No, he's more than a guest star. He's a little on a higher level. She's the guest star. Like
he's a guest star for this.
Okay.
One season.
Let me rephrase this, because this is how actually how they credit Whoopi Goldberg, special guest star. The word special has to come first because she's like when we feel like including her, one of those things. But
recurring character.
Yeah, but I'm talking about in terms of credits. I'm going by that joke. Like for Whoopi, it was like special guest star, so she's kind of on that level. But she is. You're right. She's a recurring character. She's the Whoopi, the Guinan. I wouldn't even compare her to.
She's not Guinan.
She's
I mean,
not
just
Guinan.
because she
I
gives
mean,
advice doesn't mean
No.
she's Guinan.
I'm just saying in terms of her appearance regularity. I'm not saying in terms of the fact that she's like the Council of Troy or something like that. Although she did give some good advice, a good way to try to.
Which Counselor Troy never has, so we got that going for us.
She can crash starships.
Unless the counseling advice was eating chocolate, because yeah.
Yeah.
I want to point out the best line during that whole exchange where she talks about someone impeding her job, and this is the line. An idiot, and his name rhymes with poo. It's fucking hilarious.
Wow.
Oh, poo, yeah.
I also like the scene where Saru.
He says an idiot. He came back from the dead, and his name rhymes with poo. What a kick in the nuts!
Yeah.
It's great. She just does not give a fuck. I love it. It was great.
I also like the I agree with you, but I also like the scene where Saru and Burnham have a talk, and he basically tells her things have changed since I lost my ganglia, but he's like, I'm a new Saru, and how do you like me now? It's kind of like how he was approaching it. I loved it. I loved the evolution of his character in this whole season.
Yeah, it's been a fun ride with Saru, and it's really interesting. It's been organic too. It's worked out very well.
Exactly. Well, literally with the ganglia. Yeah.
Well, right. But with the transformation of the character in general, it's just been it's been very. It's how you would expect it to be. I mean, if done right, it's the best way I can put that. I mean, he's still Saru. But
he's a new Saru.
He's had a dramatic change in his life that's changed who he is. So it's cool.
All right, I'm gonna go down the line and give everybody's ratings. I know someone wants to go by the warp.
I still haven't, notes.
All right. Well, what else?
Son, please.
Give us your notes.
Like I said, I started this. Yeah, with what I said earlier is how I started off my notes for this season can't keep its own consistency. My next note was yes, George is right, and this is how I know they fired Kirsten Beyer.
What?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure there was a bullet point for the. I'm pretty sure there was a bullet point for the. Yeah, but. The way this scene was set up, the way that scene was set up, you could have. I know Kirsten would have done it completely differently and never even showed the chair and still gotten the point across.
Well, I'm glad that I won the bet, because that would have been one less spare.
So, did you not like the scene with the chair, Son? I take it.
Okay, here's my thing. This episode is wonderful if you're not thinking about it.
Ah, crap.
If you're not paying attention to the story at all, this is a fun little episode all by itself. And it's a great and wonderful thing by itself as a singular thing without all the rest of the stuff that has come before it.
I think, I kind of made that point that there were quite a few things in here that were to me, but I overlooked them. And I think that's, you make a good point that because that's kind of how I approach it.
One of our friends from more than one chat group, Axelmonder and the Real Super Geeks, Jason Kovanek, he actually made a good point on a thread that I started. He said, and I'm paraphrasing. I don't feel like looking up the exact quote, but he basically said that all the previous episodes, any of them that sucked, if you look back now, it serviced getting to this point. so it was necessary crap. You had to
Yeah,
you had to wade through it to get to where we are now.
well, we said that the last two episodes in particular, we said the same thing. That
Joe.
that they got us, that they serviced the plot. They were necessary to move the plot along, and they, without really having much meat to them. And that's entirely fair. I completely agree with that assessment. We thought so before.
All right. Before I get to the final ratings for everybody else, Son, is there any more in your notes you want to get
Yes. I still have two more big, huge
out? All right.
notes.
Go for it.
The next note is all about Control's intentions, which we still do not know.
We have two
We
more.
know
two more, yeah.
we know
Okay.
Control's end game, which is the destruction of all sentient life. We don't know the directive beforehand, before Control goes, okay, you know what, fuck it, destroy all sentient life.
Actually, we kind of do, because they were clear
We
that
do know that.
Because if you and here's the notes that I have. Rewatching the Leland scene, Control does not declare its intentions, only its direct intentions with Leland, to assume human nuance so that it can assume the chain of control of the chain of command. But that's not a long-term intention. That is a short-term plan. Leland's evolution is said to be the fulfillment of his oath, but this is also not a declaration of intention. It is a computer trying to comfort Leland with what it sees as its reasoning. Now
Okay.
we have in this episode, I don't know what its directive is. Is order supposed to be its goal? Peace, protection? None of these make any sense from a computer. From a computer going.
He and Burnham have an entire exchange about this.
Right, they do. Exactly.
That's why I have this note.
No, they do, Son, though, with the other guy, not Leland.
That's why I've written this note. So kind of let me finish.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Is order supposed to be Control's goal? Peace? Protection? None of these make sense, even from a computer's logic. A computer's logic would go to the logical extreme. Killing all sentient life doesn't end chaos to bring order into the galaxy itself, because the galaxy itself is still capable of unexpected, uncontrolled, and uncontrollable phenomena.
He's never said order is his goal.
That's my point.
But now you're extrapolating on it as if it was his point.
Yeah, you are. Because
if it's not his point, then why even go there?
What is his intention?
We don't know.
No.
Go ahead,
they had an entire exchange about this, you guys.
Then tell me.
Burnham asks him, the Control's purpose is to protect life. And she says that is a contradiction in your core programming. And he says something about that he has to become the purest form of life, or by eliminating carbon-based life, or I forget the term he uses for it, that would leave him as the purest form of life, and therefore he would be preserving life as he defines it.
It's the only way, right? Exactly what Control says is right, that the only way to do it is by destroying all organic life, whatever, the human life or whatever it is. That's the only way to do it.
And you know what makes me nervous,
to protect the life,
John?
is by destroying it.
You know what makes me nervous?
That's actually my last note in here. Protection of who? If it's protection of himself, that is a contradiction, because Control, then reaching the point of having protected himself, he has nothing left to protect.
I don't think we've got all the answers.
But here's the thing. You got to look at the perspective of that it was human beings who originally programmed Control with that directive. Okay, this is Control has. I think you've even pointed this out. Has short-term goals and short-sighted thinking about this. Okay, they've taken this notion. Control's taken this notion of protecting all life to an extreme of the only way I can protect it is by destroying it all. And then it doesn't have Kirk there to like we saw a couple of times in the original series to say to talk it out of how illogical it is. It's still, I think, a slave to its basic original programming. Is what I think it is. And it really it hasn't.
It's just reinterpreting it.
Right, exactly. It hasn't thought it through to its logical end of that its logical end is contradictory
You know,
to its main
guys,
goal.
I hate to say this. At first, a couple episodes when in Project Daedalus, when they introduced the whole control thing, all these people kept making these theories about this is the origin of the Borg, and we all probably were on the same bandwagon.
There's still people saying that.
Well,
Lots of people.
what I'm about
growing.
to say is going to be controversial. I think I'm starting to worry that they are going to actually go there by the time that his parameters are going to change by the end of this. That's what made, and that he ends up being actually. He's going to say resistance is futile because he's come so close to saying those key words. Like Sean, you pointed that out last time. I'm really starting to worry. I'm really starting to worry that that's where they're going with this.
Okay,
but you know what? But I started thinking about this. Hold on. I started thinking about this. I'm actually, if they do it right, I'm not going to bitch as long as they did, but it has to be done right. Because what I sense coming, and just hear me out, I sense that it's possible that the theories are right. But the reasons that the fans are theorizing it are just kind of like them wishful thinking, like me in some cases. But I think that I'm sort of envisioning that maybe that they find that Control changes his directive, and that his final words are something along the lines of resistance is futile. That's how, because they said they're going to shock us with the final scene and whatever is going to happen in 2 weeks. I'm just saying.
You're just saying, but you're completely ignoring 20 years of Borg lore in Star Trek by doing that, because it's been made very clear.
But there's time travel involved. That's all I'm saying.
It doesn't matter, okay? It doesn't matter that there's time travel involved, because the Borg Queen specifically stated that the origin of the Borg was organic, and that they chose to incorporate the synthetic.
Yeah, that's true.
To make themselves more. Yeah, that's true. And
she said that in First Contact, right?
She said that in the First Contact. She said it on Voyager.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
There's a way that they can
organic species first, and that they chose to do this to themselves. I mean, there's
a way that they can do this in Discovery and do exactly that, Sean.
How's that?
Using time travel.
Well, we just said that.
But here,
but that's completely that knocks us out of the prime universe.
Wait, okay, so everything else in the season that has used time travel as a convenient plot finisher couldn't happen, shouldn't happen. I mean, we've used time travel for just about everything.
All I'm going to say is that I think it's possible.
It's possible. If they're
not saying that. No, I'm not saying that. Let me explain how they do this. At some point, they get Control, and they try to send Control off to like destroy it, but they wind up creating a tear in time that not only sends it off like they did with like the Angel did with Burnham's mom, but it winds up sending Control into the past and into the Delta Quadrant to that planet, where those people then choose to assimilate with Control.
Ooh, well, you know what? Let's not get too much into this theory, because I'm just saying that the way they're going is not impossible. That's all I'm saying. I'm hoping that's not the case.
I don't think they're going to.
I'm hoping that they're smart enough not to do that. But
no,
if it's true, I'm not going to complain as long as it's not done.
I mean, we've literally spent the entire season hearing Carlos go, "They're not going to give you the wheelchair, George," and it happened.
The only time we discussed this was last episode, if I recall correctly. I'm not sure about the entire season we've been discussing this. But it's one thing to show the wheelchair. It's another thing to change the entire origin story of a species on the show.
It depends on how they handle it. Like I said, they have 2 more episodes.
You can keep saying it depends on how they handle it, but if they handle it that way, then it's no longer prime.
But there are
I'm sorry.
More episodes.
Did Enterprise not retcon the entire mating cycle and wedding things of the blue people with the antennas?
Oh, the Andorians? No, they actually didn't. They actually didn't.
No,
because they never said they were polyamorous and how these. That was a fan book. It was a fiction novel.
There were literally 2 appearances of the Andorians.
No, hold on, Sean. What she's talking about is something that was a sour spot between me and several friends of mine. There's a book that came out where they said the Andorians were sort of like one of those episodes of Enterprise where they had to have multiple people involved to have a child and all this other stuff. So you had to have a group in order to have, because something happened that made them have issues with having a child. It was never canon. It was a book. And Enterprise, once Enterprise came out after that, and believe me, it caused a lot of fights between me and some friends of mine.
Why?
Because after Enterprise came out, they showed Tran had a mate, and he had a child with whatever. He had and then in the past, he had a child with somebody else. But they basically were saying, no, you can still have kids with 2 Andorians and whoever, or an Anar or whatever. But the problem is that all the fans that believed that what the book thing said was that was canon, even though it really wasn't. And it caused huge controversy.
Novels have never been canon.
Never. Exactly.
Okay, in fact, there was a very brief moment. I'll give you the timeline of canon when it comes to novels, because unfortunately, this is something I know way too much about, like little red lights on top of phasers. Okay, here's how this goes. Okay, back in the day, okay, we'll talk in late 90s into the early 2000s. Okay, even on the Star Trek FAQ on the website. Okay, there was a whole long section about what is considered canon and what is not considered canon. Okay, and basically they broke it down like this back in the day, that when it comes to canon, the only thing that's canon is what's shown on screen, with the exception of technical and nonfiction works written by Star Trek production crew, which would include your technical manuals and shit like that. Okay?
And the Star Trek 3 novel that shows that Savick and David Marcus were getting busy.
No.
It was the official novelization.
No.
Not canon, George. Sorry.
Not canon. Let me.
Fanfic. All right, whatever.
You want the guy who knows what he's talking about here?
He's going to be on there in a couple of weeks. That would be Larry Nemechek.
Okay, look. I'm going to tell you exactly what it said. Okay, that the only novels that were ever considered canon, this was for a short time, this changed subsequently, were the 2 Voyager novels written by Jerry Taylor, Mosaic, which is the backstory of Captain Janeway, and Pathways, which is the backstory of the rest of the crew. Those are the only ones that were ever considered canon. They changed that in about 2002, 2003, and they eliminated any references to anything outside of what's shown on screen. So this is why I don't understand why people think that a novel about Andorian mating customs
would actually started with that and then a role-playing game.
The argument that you're making
Still
right here
doesn't matter.
I agree. I'm just letting you know how it started. That's all.
The argument you're making right here, Sean, is exactly why they could fuck up 20 years of the Borg.
No, they can't. They would have to. That's not a retcon. That's a complete. I mean, look, they can if they want.
Actually, son, he's right, because you're thinking of. I think you might be thinking of the game where they retcon that the origin of the Borg Queen happened, whatever. And also, they almost did an episode that would have been in season 5 where the crew member of the Columbia
thing to change if they wish to.
But
I agree, but
it ceases to be prime timeline if they do that. You are now in a completely alternate timeline if you change the entire origin story of the Borg.
Let's not argue about this, guys. Let's rein it in.
Okay, actually, here's
the show on this.
Let me weigh in
they
here.
said they're not doing that.
Right. Okay. Let me weigh in here because I think you've both made your points. First of all, I think it pains me to say this, I think they might do it. I don't think it's advisable for the reasons that you point out, Sean, but Sun is right. If they decide that's what they want to do, they can find a way to do. I could think of a way to do it, but I just don't think it's advisable.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think it's especially not advisable because
that's my position.
They're contradicting what they said about this being
no,
in the prime
they're not.
timeline.
It's not necessarily a contradiction. Again, George is right when he says that because of time travel, they could send Control back in time to the 15th century or whatever. That Voyager establishes that the Borg became active. you know, and they
They-
evolve from there. So
it's starting to feel like the fan theories might be. Let me point something else off. It's not really a sidetrack. A lot of everybody assumes that every time fans on the forums make theories that they're automatically just making up fan theories and they're wrong. Usually that's the case with Doctor Who. Usually they're wrong 100%. But oftentimes with some shows, like for some weird reason, Game of Thrones fans have been almost always right. It's kind of weird. It's a weird paradox going on out there in the universe. But sometimes fans out there in forums pick up on things, and the reason they're right is, in my opinion, because the writers have the same thought process as some of the fans. Because you got to remember, some of their writers are fans too. So they're actually having the same thought process as some of the fans. So when they start seeing certain seeds going on, they go, huh, I see where they're doing. And the writers thought they were being clever, and it could turn out it's actually true. I'm starting to think, I think Tyler was a little obvious with him being a Klingon, but I think in this case, I'm really starting to think that the fans might be right about the whole Borg thing. I'm hoping they're wrong, but then at the same time, I allow myself for the possibility, well, if it turns out they're right, am I okay with it? And my answer is, again, how they handle it. We have 2 more episodes to find out, ultimately. And they did promise us, Alex Kurtzman did say, that we're going to have our jaws dropped by the final scene. So
Okay, so there are only 2 reasons why I don't think it's going to happen. Okay, one, because they have been very good about not telegraphing shit this season like they did last season. Okay, like major plot.
not as bad, but
Well, not as bad. How the big thing was the Red Angel. Everybody assuming that they had telegraphed.
I think Michael is going to end up being the Red Angel because of how things are leading into.
Oh,
her mom's
boy.
gone, and she's
No,
gonna end up
no. She's not going to be the Red Angel. She's going to be the Red Signals.
Ooh, you're right. Son, there you go. I think I
All
like
right.
what you're
Because
saying.
the signals have to go to Spock first when he is a kid.
All right, I
and
see
then
what
they
you're
have
saying
to
there, yeah.
reappear.
I like
Okay,
this.
well, all right.
Anyways, go ahead, John.
The telegraphing thing is the one thing. The other thing is their insistence on this being prime timeline, and I cannot reconcile this notion that if they do that, that this show continues to remain in the prime timeline. If they do, they do. But
That is a concern that a lot of people have.
Don, they can make this fit and it be the prime timeline. They can. Again,
Well,
I don't
yeah.
think it's advisable, but they can. They
they can write it that way. But if they write it the way we're thinking, then it won't. That's a thing.
It's going to cause a lot of controversy. But you know what? We have 2 more episodes.
I think at the end of the day that I have to take a step back and say I have faith in the writers of the show now.
That's
because
what
I
was going to say. Let's rein it in and just say, let's wait and see what happens before we
Okay,
get
so
carried
my
away.
final note is the Burnham's "let's blow up the ship" thing.
And
This is where again I go back to there's no consistency in this season.
I don't agree with you on that one.
Wait a minute.
There was another option.
I want to hear this.
options-
I had an issue with this too, but I want to hear what your reason
the,
why is.
the two options that I see before us in the writing of we blow up Discovery is that either this will actually wind up, they will blow up Discovery, but instead of it blowing up because of some sphere magic, it will send Discovery into the future for that 1,000 years.
No, not the future.
Let her finish.
Yes, it's the future.
Really.
It will send Discovery into the future that 1,000 years, in which case that whole episode with Calypso about her being abandoned for 1,000 years will never have happened. Or they will actually scuttle the ship, but cloak it to make it seem it's abandoned, and then leave it for 1,000. Actually, leave it for 1,000 years.
Well,
and it seems like the writing is going to have this "we time traveled it into the future" thing.
No, I don't agree with that because it said it had been there for 1,000. It didn't say it jumped in that episode. I rewatched Calypso the other day.
Again, I'd like to point to the fact that when the writing room changed, so did the entire feel of the season.
Yeah, but they have notes.
Yeah, just like you, son. So, guys, let's wrap this up a little bit.
They have notes, but they still can't get the 7 signals right.
Okay, look, look, I'm not beating my. I got to be honest with you. Look, we can all honestly say that we've been watching the show and been paying attention pretty well here. I have not been paying attention to the red signal count at all, and I can guarantee that most people haven't either.
I haven't seen any theories about the signals themselves on any forums or podcasts, and
they're far more concerned about that Michael's a bitch and nonsense like that, and that the Klingons don't have hair and bullshit. So
actually, that's the biggest one.
This is how you know that I'm more invested in the story than all the fucking minutia.
No, I know you are, and I appreciate that from you. But my point on this is that
was that minutia or manure? I'm clarifying.
No, look, the thing is that Star Trek has a history of being inconsistent, and this is an argument I've been making for 3 years, and people losing their minds about it being the inconsistencies between Discovery and what happened on other series. Why it baffles me to no end. I'm leaning towards that this is a case where they're probably cognizant of this inconsistency and just don't care at this point. And so
I think Son's partially right though.
No,
Sean.
she's right. She's right.
As far as the writing room,
but I'm sure they know what's happened before. But she's right. But I think that she's making more important than they are. Is what I think it comes.
Right. That I agree with you. You're both kind of right. I think you're right in the sense that.
And I don't think it's a type of thing. I don't think it's insignificant at all. I'm just saying. I think the writers are looking at it at this point as fuck it. We've already gone down this road.
Yeah,
can't turn back now.
All right, so let's go down the line. I'm going to start with Carlos. Well, I've already told you guys my warp rating on this episode. I'm going to jump it up to a little bit. I'm going to say 8.9.
Hey, I got an idea here. Why don't we do this? Okay, let's give each of us give our ratings, and let's give our. Since it's a two-parter, the finale, it's a two-parter over 2 weeks. Let's give our predictions on how.
If we do the predictions, that's going to eat up a lot of time, dude.
Well, no, why? I mean, we just we do it real quick.
All right.
They'll listen.
All right, that's fine. Okay, 8.9, and my prediction is that when the show ends, everybody's going to go, "Holy shit!" because that's what they promised us, and I believe that they're probably right. Carlos, what about you? What's your warp rating and what is your prediction?
I'm at a 7.5. And my prediction is I think that Discovery is going to go jump in time and that it becomes Zora, that this between Ariam's memories and the sphere data, it becomes.
Do you think the ship jumps in time without the crew, though? Like, Scuttle.
Without the crew, they're about to abandon ship.
Oh, you're right. They didn't actually say it had sat there for 1,000 years. They just said it was 1,000 years later. Huge difference.
And remember, we see in the preview for next week, we see them abandoning ship.
And they all go to Enterprise, and yeah.
Right, they're going to Enterprise. So to me, that's a clear path to what we see in Calypso.
Yes, it does make sense. Yep.
What that means, I think for me, the big question marks that remain are who or what is the source of the red signals, because we know they're not Gabriel Burnham. So who could they be? Possibly it's Michael, or it could be maybe. Because Gabrielle referenced something like this, maybe her father.
Could it be the Telosians?
We haven't heard
anything. Illusion powers?
No, I don't think it's the Telosians.
You don't think so?
No.
All right.
We know that they're temporal anomalies. They don't have that kind of power.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they're little wormhole thingies. Yep. Joe, what is your warp rating and predictions?
8.5. Thanks for asking. I think they're going to abandon it in a nebula, and Discovery's going to sit there for 950 years because it could be hidden, and they're going to leave the time crystal discovery for Michael's mom.
Well, Michael did say it would take a supernova to power it, so I don't know. Yeah, you could be right. All right, that's an interesting theory. What about
Well,
you,
we've
Kate?
seen them.
Oh, sorry.
We've seen them achieve that supernova power before.
Yes, that's true.
So they just need more of that dark matter.
That is a good point. And if they do what the next episode suggests, Chili's friend, because if you guys noticed, Chili wasn't in this episode, and her friend
Thank
though,
God.
her friend's home planet is in the next episode. So I doubt that she's. Her friend also is like the queen. She from Runaway. She was part of the planet or something like that, born at the same time. So I'm thinking like she could end up becoming the power source for and helping out Discovery and Enterprise in that battle. Because if they fight,
Probably it's something like that.
yeah, like the planet itself becomes their friend, like it helps out because she's connected to it, like
Friend.
yeah, I'm thinking like I'm starting to yeah. Okay, so anyways, Casey, what did you rating wise and your theory?
Rating wise, Warp 8.7, and I'm kind of hoping we see something that changes the show a bit to be a little more like Fuller wanted to do an anthology show, so that next season could be a lot different than the first two.
That's
I don't have a specific prediction of what's going to happen, but I'd like to see something like that, because that would be, I think, something that everybody would be freaked out or jazzed about.
Well, we have actually seen so far the two seasons we've had so far have been quite different from one another.
True,
Yep.
But they also changed a lot of behind the scenes people. So.
I think I know where Casey's going with this. And it's going to be part of my prediction and hope.
Well, then let's jump to you, Sean. What is your rating and what do you think?
I give it a warp 8 on this. My prediction here is that, along with what Sun said and what Carlos said, I've been saying this for a while, that the Arium AI, I think, is going to, I think it's going to ultimately want to be in the hero of the season.
Ooh, that's a good theory.
And there's going to be an epic showdown between the Arium AI and Control.
And Control, yeah, I like that.
And ultimately, and I really like this theory about Arium somehow. In this would be, with the time crystals and everything else, that able to propel Discovery those 1,000 years into the future to
it
keep
would
them
be
out of it,
like
to just
justice
trap,
if she could get back at her. Yeah.
To trap Control in time, perhaps in a perpetual loop like we've seen in TOS before, trying to resolve pi or something.
I like that.
So that's my prediction on this. And my fanboy prediction is along the lines of what Casey just said. There's a radical departure here, in that. So Discovery's gone. Well, we've got a brand spanking new Enterprise out there that might need a crew. So maybe Discovery becomes more about.
No, the Enterprise has a crew.
Yeah, well, they need more.
You know what, though, Carlos? They have a crew of 100 and something, or 200 and something, versus 500 like it is in TOS.
During 400.
They have plenty of room.
Right. That's it. That's exactly where I was going with this. And that Star Trek Discovery may now be less about the ship and more about the actual Discovery. And that
in which case they have an excuse to stretch. Oh, but Anson and Rebecca are supposed to be gone.
We know that he's not going to be around next season,
right?
So I don't think that's going to happen.
And yeah, my hopes of her being the new captain.
Yeah, but wasn't the whole point of Discovery was that it was about Michael Burnham? Well, if she's like a standard crew member on a ship, well, this is lower decks.
Yeah, well, I really wish they would ship focus when it comes to her.
So, like I said, so that's my fanboy. That would be my fanboy hope on this. But actually, more fanboy hope than anything else is that we actually do wind up getting a Pike Discovery series. And I have actually PM'd the right people about this and told them to send them up the chain. I'm not fucking kidding. kidding about this. So, and I
Make
and I
it
think
so,
I'm
number
sure
two.
they'll attend to it immediately, Sean.
yeah,
Sean, don't take
look,
any
you
offense
guys,
by this,
you
but
guys, you guys know I know a guy. So, and the guy
yeah,
I
they're
did
gonna
let
get
him know,
right
I
on
said,
it,
look,
Sean, because you PM them. You know,
I said, look, I don't know if
No,
you're paying attention, but we really like Pike. Just
even if you know a guy,
and everybody wants a Pike. Everybody wants a Pike show. Just send it up the ladder, if you will. You know.
Yeah, I know. All right.
And
Son,
I'm sure they're abundantly aware of the
Yeah, I know.
popularity of the character.
it's still not gonna happen.
So-
But
What do you mean it's not going to happen? How do you know it's not going to happen?
I just do. I have
Oh,
connections
really?
too.
Yeah. Okay. So you know it's not going to
You
happen.
don't know
because-
everybody that I know.
I know,
I
but
talked
you
to
don't.
the I talked
I
to
know
the
everybody
ghost
you
of
don't
Gardner.
Oh, you mean my dummy account on Facebook on Twitter? Good. I'm glad you're still talking.
No, I talked to the great bird of the galaxy. He's my god. I worship him.
Oh.
I have a big bird of prey model that it's my temple, and I ask for. Do I have to sacrifice yet another chipmunk to your photon torpedo tube, or what do I gotta do?
There's a
Be looking out for that religion, folks. It's gonna topple Scientology.
look. Here's the thing. Here's the thing that they responded to the popularity of Giorgio by greenlighting a Section 31 series. It is not out of the realm of possibility that a character who's even more popular on Discovery, that they would greenlight a show for him, especially
It's not impossible.
After
there is,
this
like we all
episode.
know, there's at least 9 more years before that fate will happen. So yes, it is possible.
Yeah, exactly.
It is absolutely possible. They have wiggle room. They've got almost a decade of canon time period frame that they could play with. They could even go backwards and show the adventures when they were off before the Klingon War started. Yeah, so there is wiggle room. There is.
And think about it: if they built the Enterprise bridge, and they also built a Section 31 bridge, and if they wanted Star Trek all year long, as they said on CBS All Access, you have sets available for each production, and it's a big cost up front. But
Well,
then
let's be
you have
fair.
them.
They modified the Discovery Bridge for the Enterprise. They didn't build a whole new bridge.
There was a post on Twitter
Oh, really?
of a guy with Kurtzman saying, "I wish I could turn around the camera and show you the build of the Enterprise bridge."
Well, Jesus, that's a lot of money being spent. Well, they do have a big budget, so.
Well, and yeah, I mean, look, right, but I would admit, there's also going to be the issue that they will be able to save costs because they're going to be sharing a lot of the same studios and studio space to begin with, and of course, they'll be able to redress scenery. I mean, it's so
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
All right, it is within.
I'm just glad we're going to finally get to meet Jeffrey.
Yeah, and so we're going to get to you now, son. Hold on.
Jeffrey! I've always wanted to know why they named the tubes after him.
Oh God, the Jeffrey
Those are-
tubes. I see what you
That's
mean.
Jeff Freeze.
Yes, after Matt Jeffries.
Anyways, let's get to Sun. Let's try to wrap the show up a little bit. I'm not worried about it. But Sun, rating with warp signals or warp whatever, and your predictions.
Yeah, I'm definitely contrarian on this episode. I'm giving it a warp 3.5.
Bitch. I'm sorry.
Wow.
What were you saying?
This episode is fine if you're not thinking about it because it's just a fun little Star Trek romp. But if you've been following the story, which is the one reason I've been watching the whole thing in the first place, this whole thing is starting to fall apart.
All right. Well,
So extreme.
you already talked about why earlier.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. I think
Yeah.
there've been some inconsistencies, but I don't think it's falling apart.
We all know how I felt about the last episode, but like our friend Jason pointed out, like you have to sort of trudge through the mud to get to the lagoon or whatever. You have to get through the crap if it serves the story and it connects. Sometimes there's some crap you have to kind of wade through. And so far, the only episode I had a problem with was the last one, and this one made up for it. I was like, wow. So I'm like, and then I see the promo for the next two-parter, and we're looking at like this huge space battle between Enterprise, Discovery, and 30. Now this is going to be a hard sell. I have no problem with it, folks. I think it'll be exciting. That's why I think that woman, the queen and her planet will come into play and help out. 30 Section 31 ships.
But
That's
see, this
gonna
is
be...
also why I think it's gonna. They're going to set it to self-destruct, and that destruction is going to get it flung into the future.
I do agree with you. You and Sean's theory on that, I totally agree.
But
I
don't-
here's the thing: 30 ships with Section 31 technology weapons. Okay, I'm not saying they have tricobalt weapons.
You know what, son?
Yet.
I got
But
a huge...
at this point, them firing on Discovery or Enterprise at any one point while one of the other ships is blowing up is going to create some kind of temporal tear.
Okay, so as you just started to talk, I had a theory that just hit me.
I'm with you.
The
I
Queen,
think
friend
it's going
of
to be
Tilly's...
more on purpose, though. I think it's going to be more. I think it's going to be Arian that's
All
going to
right.
want
Do you
to
remember when
make it happen.
Do you guys remember when Burnham said it would take something like a supernova to power that time crystal? I'm starting to think that the Queen character, the one that was the friend of Tilly's, is going to make...
Yeah, you said that already, George.
No, she's going to make the sun go supernova. I didn't say that.
No,
No,
but
that's
here's the
not
thing.
going to happen.
If that's the
What the
case,
fuck?
wouldn't she destroy her own planet and all
Yes,
of the
it's
people?
a sacrifice.
Yeah.
No.
Wouldn't she
No,
also
not gonna
destroy
happen.
all the ships in the system fighting over her planet?
Well, you
she's
would
going
take
to.
out...
She's going to
yeah.
destroy. She's going to go all Eldar.
Just save all of reality?
What?
That's the
Yeah,
whole theme.
I don't think that's going to be a very convincing pitch.
But dude, if she knows
No,
the stakes,
no.
I mean...
Does Luke show up also?
yeah.
It's not
Yes.
a sacrifice if it's a character
In
we
fact,
barely
that
know.
time crystal was green, Casey, now that you mention it.
But here's the thing.
Kryptonite.
Fuck's
Wait a
sake.
minute. Here's the thing you missed. And I am not even addressing the green time crystal line. Here's the thing you missed. They said that it would take a supernova, but then they said, or you could do this, and this to make it happen too. So you don't need to blow up the fucking sun of an inhabited star system in order to make the thing work. Okay, so I think
Alright.
we can. I think that supernova line. I think that was kind of to create a little bit of a kind of a.
We shall see.
dramatic-
We're literally going the route of the flux capacitor in Back to the Future at this point.
Yeah.
We shall see.
Plutonium is what powers it at first until, oh hey, why don't we use lightning?
We shall see. It's how many gigawatts are going on here. Anyways, all right, so guys, let's wrap up the show because we've gone a long time. I can edit, but still. So, Carlos, where can people find you on the interwebs?
I can be found at axmonitor.com, on Twitter at cpedraza and at Axamonitor, and on Facebook in the Axamonitor Facebook group.
And Joe, where can people find you?
Crafting with Cat Hair on Amazon.com.
That's my
Alright,
favorite place
alright.
to find him.
Yeah, mine too. If I knew. And Casey, where can people find you?
Self-storage and Pink Pony Coffee in Georgia.
Okay then.
Oh my Christ! Oh my God!
And Sean,
Oh.
I don't understand that, and I hope somebody explains what the hell it is tomorrow night.
Oh, Will Train.
as Doctor Who used to say, we'll explain later. I don't even know. But Sean, where can people find you?
Well, not too far behind coffee. I would not. I'll be taking a shit in each one of those places that Casey mentioned. So in destroying their toilets.
And
So,
Sean's pants, where can we find you?
They can be found at the Real Super Geeks group. I've given them access to my Facebook account to post on my behalf, and of course at the X Amount of the Facebook group on Facebook.
All right, and son, where can people find you?
So, are you guys interested in talking with us when we're not, on air? Well, you can on Facebook at The Real Super Geeks. It's a group that we're all in.
Oh, that's great.
Hooray!
Hells yeah!
Wait, we have a Facebook group? I forgot all about that. Yes, you can find us on Facebook at The Real Super Geeks, and you can find us on Subspace Radio. They just bumped us up by an hour, so it's not a big deal, but I'm going to let you guys know. Just to let you know, is the Facebook, subspace-radio.net, and you can find us there Mondays from, it used to be, I'm going to tell you what it is now instead of it used to be. It is now I got to think, 8 p.m. Pacific time and 11 p.m. Eastern time. Yes, that's the bump up. So, yeah, join us there. And you can also find us on YouTube at TR Super Geeks. I'll link it too. Well, yeah, I kind of have to if you want to know if you haven't seen it. So yeah, you can find us there, and we'll find other ways to get to you and throw our voices into your ears. But yeah, that was another exciting episode, and we're gonna be doing Game of Thrones starting tomorrow. After our regular show, we're gonna talk a little bit before next week, which is holy crap, the season premiere of Game of Thrones final season. I'm going crazy with excitement. In fact, I just might have done something in my pants. I'm just kidding. So yeah. Anyways,
It's a
I'm
good
excited.
thing you're wearing some then.
Yeah, exactly.
I seriously, I'm wearing shorts underneath them, including because I was prepared.
Am I the only one when I hear Game of Thrones, I automatically hear in my head, dude.
Yep. So
Okay, good. I'm glad.
no,
I'm
you're not the only one. I'm sorry. Is what I was gonna say.
I'm glad I don't. I hear Game of Thrones and my brain instantly shuts off.
Oh no.
Mine does too, for a good reason.
I don't care.
Okay, don't be a contrarian, son.
Okay.
That's your speciality. You know, they keep
It's
asking
not
people.
something that it's.
When we talk about Shazam tomorrow night.
It's not about being contrarian. It's just not a topic that interests me.
Okay, so when we do
Good tease for an upcoming show.
when we do our Shazam review tomorrow night, one of the questions Freddie keeps asking Billy in school is, if you had to choose any superpower, what would yours be? And Son says, I don't care. And hers is, I'm a contrarian. So she's contrarian. That's her superhero name.
No. If I was able to choose any superpower, it'd be the ability to make people love each other.
Oh God. Oh, you mean Viagra? All right. So, anyways.
There's more than one type of love, George.
Yeah, I know. No, there isn't. Anyway, no, I'm joking. Or am I? Anyways, yeah, I'll talk to you all. This is getting out of hand. Or is it?
You did it. You started this.
Oh, God, I can't wait for tomorrow night's show. All right. We'll talk to
Say
you
goodnight, George.
the next time. Good night, George.
And that concludes